Hi everyone, Movie Man Chatty here with my mom, Movie Man Chatty Mom, for our review. I think this is number 3. We saw Coco together. We've seen many movies. I mean, this lady, this mom, this awesome woman right here took me to see Return of the Jedi, Empire Strikes Back, The Goonies, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Labyrinth, and many, many other films. So props to you, Mom. Okay, and what my favorite? A Christmas Story.
Oh, that one too. No, you didn't take you to see that one. We went
and saw A Christmas Story. I remember vividly.
Later.
Yeah, but
not the first time. The movie that's the cartoon that you really love. The
Land Before Time.
The Cauldron.
Oh, the Black Cauldron and E.T. E.T. multiple times. I think we saw a double feature of E.T. and the Black Cauldron, which I did love. I both love.
Because they repeated it as you were older. Even though it came out when you were 5, you didn't really see it when you were 5, E.T. I think you saw it when you were a little older, like 7 or something. Because it would, in those days, you would keep having the movie come out they'd come out again and again. And,
I think VHS was just coming out.
Yeah,
and
we didn't. Yeah, I don't think we saw it. We did get E.T. I did get it on VHS. That's true.
And Batman, but Dad took me to see Batman, not you.
That's true.
And I remember him thinking it. I think he thought it was okay, and I have a fond memory of seeing Batman 1989 with my dad. Yeah, thank you, Dad. He's here. Okay, so anyways, okay. The movie we saw tonight. Actually, this is the second movie that I saw today. I went with some friends to see the Disaster Artist, and I did a review it with my friend Derek, which is on YouTube now. And then after that was over, I met it with my mom, and we went and saw
Murder on the Orient Express,
the second or third remake of this classic Agatha Christie story. And I haven't seen the movie from the 70s. I don't know if this is the second or third one, but I know there's one from the 1970s starring Albert Finney? Albert Finney played the role that Kenneth Branagh plays the role in this one. What's his name? What's Kenneth Branagh's character's name? You knew, right?
Poirot. It was he's a famous detective. Excuse me.
And you've seen that detective stories on Masterpiece Theater?
Masterpiece Theater or Mystery Theater has had Poirot. He's a famous detective story that she's written.
Agatha Christie. I do want to point out this movie has been out for a month, so I'm going to preface this as a spoiler review. Imagine most people have seen it already, but I've been wanting to see this film for a while because I'm a big fan of Kenneth Branagh, who's the director and actor of this film, and I've really enjoyed some of the films from Kenneth Branagh over the years, especially Thor and the Jack Ryan movie and Cinderella that came out a couple years ago. So I was really interested to see this movie because I really like Kenneth Branagh, and I've seen some of his early films. Mom, what is your favorite Kenneth Branagh directed film? You were saying that on the way home?
Henry V.
Henry V, which I still need to see, and I think he was nominated for an Academy Award.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
But the music, I've heard the music, and I love it. And I need to see it. But I've seen Kenneth Branagh throughout his career and all the movies at the time. He was married to Emma Thompson, and they made some movies together, and I've seen those films, and I think he's just a really great director. And then the cast. Okay, the cast of this film. No, it's okay, Mom. The cast of this film is incredible. I mean, it's maybe a little overwhelming. We got Penelope Cruz, William Dafoe, Judi Dench, Josh Gad. There's some other people that I've never seen before. They're also in the film. Daisy Ridley, Michelle Pfeiffer. Oh gosh, everybody and her mother and the kitchen sink and the stove. Johnny Depp, and then Derek Jacobi, who is always someone who works with. Always. Yeah, every movie that I've seen, he's probably had a small role in it at something like that. So I didn't have a clear idea. I knew that this was a movie that was based on a book. I knew it was a remake, and it looked great. The trailers looked great. I really wanted to see when it came out about a month ago. So finally just took a chance. It's a discount day here. It was like $6, I think, for the ticket. So me and my mom went and saw the film, and now that I have witnessed the film, before I share my opinion, Mom, please kindly share yours.
Oh, my opinion about it.
Your opinion of the movie.
Well, I really enjoyed it. You did have to really find out put all the characters together. Together, and it was interesting how they tried to do that. It was very difficult to do that, I think. I'd have to go back and read the book, but the I just felt it was fascinating how he was able to figure out each character and where they came into the plot of the murder, and it was just fascinating to me. That's what I enjoyed. It was a lot take in, process and take in. But I really enjoyed the acting, and I always enjoy Kenneth Branagh. He's one of my favorites.
A comment on the production and set design, and
absolutely
a comment on
beautiful.
the way the movie looked.
Beautiful, when the train scenes and it was just, the camera work was fascinating, and just beautiful scenery, just absolutely beautiful scenery. Probably most of it made up.
Yeah, most of it's probably green screen.
Really, yeah.
I did appreciate the way the movie looked and the way that he shoots this film. A lot of the camera work is kind of behind a glass or outside of the train. There's even this one long shot where he's having a conversation with Michelle Pfeiffer before the train takes off, and it's just like the camera's panning as they're walking to the train, but they're not in the they're in the train, but the camera's outside the train. Just I think maybe it was his way of showing that, hey, we actually built this whole train. Maybe the background is not real half the time, but our costumes are real. The sets are real inside the train. The train looks like it was, maybe not the whole train was built, but for the most part, it looks like maybe that was his way of showing that we built a lot of this train, and this is not going to be just a special effect film, but it's going to rely hopefully on characters and story, and that you're intrigued by the mystery. So overall, you were pretty much enjoyed this film.
I did. Yeah, I could see some of its faults, but I really enjoyed the acting and coming together with all the characters. And since I have not have something to compare it to, because I really haven't seen the others.
Wait, you didn't read the book or see the other movie? I'm surprised. This is like right up your alley.
Well, right, but it wasn't something I was really interested in, but I figured I'd go with you and see it because
thanks, Mom.
I've heard of it for the last 40 or so years of my life.
Yeah.
And I thought it'd be interesting to go, and now I kind of probably would like to see the other versions now.
Or even read the book.
Okay.
Maybe you read a lot of books, Mom.
I read all the time.
Yes, you read all the time.
Mysteries are okay. I do enjoy them, but they're not one of my favorites. More historical novels or historical books are my favorite books to read.
Well, this one had a lot of cool history. I mean, even though it's a fictional story
before World War II, and then they went back to World War I and spoke, because there's characters in it that knew this person or certain person during World War I, and then they came back, and you knew that it was building up because it is in the 1930s, around 1934. The year my mother graduated from high school, so that tells you how long ago that was.
Yeah.
And so I think it was building up to, they had characters because they talked about everybody's prejudices against Italians, against Germans, against black people, even Americans. I mean, or Americans, all different Irish. They went over almost all these prejudices they had, but that wasn't the gist of the whole story. But it was interesting how they knew it was building up to to probably Hitler and Mussolini and all those people that were a part of World War II.
And how did you feel about the ending when you find out, again, this is a spoiler review, that they're all the murderers? Which I have to say,
actually kind of disappointing in a way, because you kind of wanted to go, who really did it? But then you found out really that they all had something to do with it, in the sense of they all hated this person. So I don't want to really give it away, but
we just did.
No, but how
the book is old and the story is old. So
if anybody's going to see it, I would like to give them something to look forward to. But that's what thing is like. I would want to have one person, but it was kind of funny how they all kind of hated this person, and they all had something to do with the whole story of the background of why this person was hated. And I still have some questions about that too. So there's it did leave questions. It left a lot of questions, like, okay, why wasn't he arrested? He would never found out that he murdered him. How did they know he murdered him? Things like that. I'm sorry, I don't mean to get crazy, but fascinating. It was very fascinating to me.
I was more intrigued, and we talked about this after the movie, but I was more intrigued by the movie making than the story and characters itself. I thought that the production design, the art direction, the costumes, the sets, the special effects, the cinematography, it's top notch. It's like best stuff this year, and like some of the best stuff this year when it comes to that technology. It could be. I could say for set direction and for costume design, this definitely could have the potential of being nominated. And I would be welcoming of that. But when it comes to like the characters and the story, I imagine the story is amazing in a book. Maybe even the 1970s film explained what was happening. But I felt like this movie just was kind of messy when I felt like when the movie started, it felt like the movie already started before we even got there. When we meet Kenneth Branagh's main character, I felt like the movie had already begun, and I didn't have a chance to really care who this person was and why he wanted his life a certain way. It was really interesting when he's in Jerusalem and he's trying to figure out this small little case before he goes to Istanbul and meets this cast of characters. But the movie honestly didn't get interesting until we get down to the murder itself and how he's trying to figure it out. Even though I have to be honest, I was completely lost the entire time, and there were so many characters. And I think what the problem of the movie is that there's too many characters, and they're all played by amazing people that are very talented in their yeah. It was hard to forget that, hey, look, there's Daisy Ridley, and she's Rey in Star Wars, and there's William Dafoe.
Judi Dench.
The lovely Judi Dench, and then there's Josh Gad, and so all these great actors, Johnny Depp, and Kenneth Branagh. I mean, there's all these talented actors, and it was hard to forget that these are very famous people, and had been in movies before, and so I was trying to focus more of my love of just like, wow, this is a movie that moves.
Expectations. Yeah, you wanted more. You wanted like, oh my gosh, are we going to have they could all be, they're all Oscar-winning or Oscar-nominated actors, and you're going, wow, all in one place, a little overwhelming.
Yeah, and it's nice to see some actors that we don't get to see very often, like Michelle Pfeiffer. You were surprised, you're like, haven't seen her in a while.
I was glad to see her. It was good to see her.
Yeah, I mean, so this cast is extremely impressive, and the talents are all there. I just feel like it's a movie that's got maybe too much going for it, and it was hard to emotionally connect with anything. Even when there was the surprise, like, oh, they're all the murderers, and then I just like didn't care that they were all the murderers, yeah. And I had like I
understand that. I agree.
I wanted to. I'm like, wow, that's a that's an interesting route, because I was like, who is the actor?
Kind of sad. Very sad.
Yeah.
like a letdown in the way of, okay, there isn't one person that we can go, oh yeah, they did it. Yeah. But it was kind of like, oh, darn.
And I'll be honest,
it's so sad.
And I'll be honest with you, I didn't understand why they all came together to kill Johnny Depp's character. At the end, I just didn't. I don't know how the planning went, and maybe in a book or the 1970s film explained it better, but I just felt like that never invited me to say, hey, you should be interested in how all these characters have come together to murder this person because of something that's terrible that has happened in the past. And I wanted to like, oh, that is so gut-wrenching. Oh, the pain, the agony. Oh, I'm so glad that they killed Johnny Depp, kind of thing. I never had that feeling at all.
It was very sad. I was kind of sad.
Of course, if something like that happened, something like that happened in real life, which it did, you were saying that this movie, the story actually was made after the very famous death of who?
The very famous kidnapping and murder of the Charles Lindbergh little baby. And so I think she could have based it kind of on that story. Yeah,
because the movie revolves around like a kidnapping and the murder of a child and so forth.
These people were all involved, and they all knew the family.
Yeah, and
loved the family, and they were basically, the murder was because they were grieving. They wanted to get revenge.
And I just don't know how they're all. I mean, I just was kind of detached from this movie because it just never really invited me in to make me care about how they're all coming together. Like probably the book does. It probably does a really great job to individually tell what's going to happen. Then you're like, wow, the mystery of that they're all coming together.
It could have been done longer. Like they seem to have to do a movie like in an hour and 45 minutes. It kind of squished everything together, and you're going, I could have probably, this is something would have been a 2-part series or something. Would have been fascinating to see it and go, ooh, and then come back and then get another hour or so and go, okay, then it puts it all together, because you need a little more time. Yeah.
Probably, yes, and just handle a little bit better to kind of get you into these characters, lay out the characters, put us in the situation, the backstory. I think The movie looks great. It's beautiful to behold, all the technical achievements, but when it comes with story and characters, I'm just totally distracted by all the star power that's in the film. And it also didn't help. Remember, Mom? It also didn't help. And this is one of my biggest gripes when I go to the movies. When you have to go to the movies with the normal public, there was a family in front of us, and I imagine the kids didn't really want to be there. And the parents, I don't know why they wanted to go. Maybe they saw Daisy Ridley, and they're like, she's in Star Wars. We're just going to go see this movie because she's... I don't know why. But these kids were running around and talking, and then the parents brought out their iPads or their things to let them play with them. They didn't turn them on when the sense of the sound, so the sound was down. But they're just running around, and they're playing, the lights glaring up, and I'm just like... Couldn't you have just maybe rented a movie and stayed home? Maybe find something, you know, I don't know if there's any kids movies playing right now. Coco! Take the kids to go see Coco, right, Mom?
I guess.
Yes, of course. Of course. Well, they would have at least appreciated with all the colors and stuff. Yeah. They probably would have watched the movie. But that was a major distraction, but I'm trying to not make that really a focus of my actual review of the film. Let it go, as that crappy Disney movie says. So, in the end, it's a decent film. Some good acting, great production value. I just wish I cared more about the characters. I wish I cared more about what was going on half the time. I just think there was too much going on, and I would be more interested to actually see the 1970s film now and see how they handled the material. I imagine I'll never read the book, but I imagine after watching this movie, there is probably a very interesting story to be told with a story like this. But I just felt like a little mismanaged when it came to the movie itself. In the end, decent film, nothing too offensive, and somewhat enjoyable because of the way it looked. Any final words, Mother, before we end this review and you can go about your day?
Nope, I'm doing fine.
Great. Thanks for all the insight, and I appreciate it, Mom. It's great to do these little reviews with you. In the comment box below, let us know what you thought of the film if you had a chance to see it. Have you seen the original? Have you read the book? Anything you'd like to say? We'd really appreciate the comments. Thank you so much for your time and watching our review. Have a great rest of your month of December with the holidays coming up and a wonderful new year, and we will see you soon. Bye, everyone. Chatty man, movie man, chatty man out with my mother, chatty mom. Two hands, people.